Team. Guardian?
Eyesupsaf.
What's up, YouTube? I wanted to bring you guys the latest build that I've been using and working on. I've been using this for all of my Fabled missions, all of my master content in the portal, pretty much everything so far, and it's been working really, really well. So it's a prismatic build. We do use Nova Bomb as the super, but this is interchangeable. You could use Song of Flame if you feel more comfortable with Song of Flame, but these are pretty much the two supers that I would use in this particular build. We are using Phoenix Dive just to make sure that we can get our class ability back as quickly as possible. You have to use Arcane Needle in this build because you need 3 charges of your melee. I am currently using Cold Snap Grenade, but I also swap between Threadling Grenade depending on, what type of enemies I'm facing, but Cold Snap seems to work the best. We are using Lightning Surge as well as Feed the Void. That way, when we use our Lightning Surge ability, it automatically gives us Feed the Void if we get a kill with it, and 9 out of 10 times we are getting a kill with it, so we get to proc Devour instantly. Then we are running Facet of Protection. Facet of Protection is just a staple in most of these prismatic builds. The damage reduction is just too good to pass up. We are running Facet of Balance. Now, Facet of Balance works really well with this build because rapidly defeating targets with light damage grants melee energy. That's really huge for us to get our melee energy back as quickly as possible. But since we are also focusing on darkness energy from our weapons and from our Cold Snap Grenade, this works really well to also give us back our grenade energy quickly. We are using Facet of Courage, so our Arc, Solar, and Void abilities deal increased damage to targets who are inflicted with a Darkness debuff. So typically we throw down Cold Snap Grenade, and then we use our Lightning Surge to go ahead and get some extra damage out. We are also using Facet of Blessing, so our melee final blows start health regeneration, while Transcendent melee final blows start health regeneration for you and nearby allies. This is an interchangeable one. You don't necessarily need this because you're running Devour, but I do like to have it just as a little side healing option. And then I also like using Facet of Purpose because picking up an Orb of Power grants us Bolt Charge, Restoration, Frost Armor, Woven Mail, or Overshield based on our super. In this particular case, we are gaining Overshield, but if you do end up running Song of Flame, you will gain Restoration. So this one's also really good to use in this build. Probably one of my favorite Warlock exotics is what we're using in this build, which is Fellwinter's Helm. I use this quite a bit during the final shape for the day 1 raid as well as for the campaign. Alright, so for those of you that don't know what Fellwinter's Helm does, pretty much if you get a powered melee kill or if you hit an enemy with it, it gives you a weaken effect on that enemy. If you do kill enemies with it, it kind of widens that weaken burst to outside enemies so you can weaken a group of enemies at the same time. Works really, really well in higher end content, so I do enjoy using Fellwinter's Helm quite a bit. This is probably the most fun I've had with a build for a really long time. We pair that with Mint Retrograde. Now, I know that Mint Retrograde is probably a gun that you guys have gotten. Maybe you have great rolls, maybe you don't. This is a semi-decent roll for me. I don't like Envious Arsenal. I'd rather have Rewind rounds here, but I do love Elemental Honing, especially with this build. We can get to ×3, ×4 pretty quickly. So this gun is fantastic to pair with this. The next weapon that we're running is Devil's Ruin. I do swap between this and Graviton Spike. I like Graviton Spike a lot in prismatic builds because it can charge up both meters and you can kind of swap between what you need. So if you're having a problem filling up your Transcendence bar, I would definitely choose Graviton Spike over anything else. But if not, Devil's Ruin is extremely strong right now, and you can pair this with a lot of the stuff on the artifact. I personally like using a solar weapon here just so I can proc Radiant. Your heavy slot's completely up to you. I like using Chill Inhibitor. As you guys can probably see from all the other build videos that I've done, we've been using Chill Inhibitor this entire time. It works really well for me. The only other thing I ever put on is my sword if I want to eager edge around to do these missions faster. In terms of the artifact itself, The main ones that you do want to take is Fever and Chill if you're running a solar weapon, or even if you're running Graviton Spike, you can switch over to the Stasis version and get Frost Armor for extra damage reduction. I am also using Refresh Threads, so picking up an elemental pickup that matches your subclass grants energy to your least charge ability, which is really good, especially since we're pairing it with Elemental Coalescence, so defeating targets have the chance to create elemental pickups matching your equipped super. This actually has a funny way that it works, especially when you're using Devil's Ruin, because Devil Ruin automatically will spawn solar pickups, and because you're using Elemental Coalescence, you also get a Void Breach at the same time, so you get 2 elemental pickups, which is kind of cool. So you know, it just allows you to get some extra energy off of that. We're also using Cauterized Darkness. Obviously we're debuffing the target with our grenade, so we get increased solar damage from our Devil's Ruin, which is really nice. Radiant Shrapnel, also really good for when we are radiant. And then we have Shield Crush. Now Shield Crush is really good for this because when we pick up an Orb of Power, we are getting a Void Overshield, and that allows our melee to recharge faster and deal increased damage. So this works really well. We also get amplified in Radiant quite a bit, so this also helps to recharge our grenade. This Shield Crush works insanely well with prismatic builds, so I've definitely been using this a lot, and I can feel the effects of it. All right, so I just want to give you guys a little showcase of the build of how strong it really is. So this clip is taken from my stream a couple days ago. I was running Kel's Fall on Expert, and we just used this build to absolutely decimate everything. It's extremely good for ad clear, it's extremely good for boss damage. So if you guys are still in the Expert stage and grinding out armor until 260 as an example, you can use this build to absolutely just cook the content. So the boss spawns in here, and just watch how fast we destroy him. We apply the weaken, we actually get Devour off there, pop our Nova Bomb, and his health is just absolutely cooked because of that weaken ability as well. So just wanted to show you guys the build in its true fashion and power, so you guys can see exactly how it works. All right, so just to go over the armor mods that we're using. In our helmet, we're using Special Ammo Finder because we do like to use Mint Retrograde quite a bit, so the Special Ammo Finder works really well. Solar and Strand Dual Siphon, since we're running a Solar and Strand weapon. And then we also have Radiant Light. I had one extra slot on here, so I put Radiant Light on, so that way we can give armor charge to our allies if we're playing with the fire team. On our gauntlets, we have 2 melee fonts as well as heavy-handed. Heavy-handed is really good because as soon as you dash in to do your lightning surge, you get an Orb of Power immediately that's collected, so it immediately starts to help with the regeneration of your melee. Plus the 2 melee fonts, you automatically proc these with your first melee, so that way your melees moving forward will get that increased damage. For our chest piece, this is just your typical resist mods, and then we're running a melee mod. For our boots, we are running a solar weapon surge, and then we're running double invigoration to make sure that we can also start getting our melee back as quickly as possible. And then for our bond, we're running time dilation, so that way our armor charges last a whole lot longer. And then we're also running outreach, so that whenever we use our class ability, we do reduce the cooldown on our melee. Now, in terms of our armor, we are running a 2 Bushido set as well as a Tech Sec. I think Tech Sec is really, really good this season. So you deal significantly increased kinetic damage to combatants, shields, overshields, vehicles, and constructs. And since Devil's Ruin is such a good gun as well as Graviton Spike, and they're both kinetic weapons, this just shreds, absolutely shreds normal enemies. So definitely a good way to go is to get some Tech Sec armor. So if you guys are still grinding out power and you're still trying to get up to 260 or even try to get to 300 and you're still running expert content, hands down, rock this build, and it'll still be able to take you through end game content as well. But anyway, I appreciate you guys watching the video. Hopefully you like this style where I'm kind of showing off a little bit more of the gameplay. If you did, leave a like on the video. Comment down below if you like the build or if there's anything that you would like to change. And don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.